Sarah, your stage.
All right, thank you, Uta. Good morning to all our members in America. Good afternoon to all in Europe and Africa. And if you are in Asia, good evening. Thank you for joining us today for this follow-up sustainability session since our IFES World Summit in Amsterdam. We are heartened to have more than 50 registrants with us today amidst a very busy time for our industry. This session has been planned over the last few months by our sustainability team, not forgetting our management office. So this will be our agenda for today's session. So why is it so important for us to embark on this sustainability journey? I think more and more we are facing clients or prospects asking us for sustainability policy during procurement processes. Event organizers are striving to make their events more sustainable than before, and the list goes on. More countries are expecting listed companies to embark on mandatory or more stringent sustainability reporting. Uta will share more about what we'll be expecting in EU, where sustainability reporting is concerned, and give us a brief summary of what ISO 20121 is about. So from the June summit, we sense that there is keen interest amongst our IFES members in understanding more about the pursuit of ISO 20121 sustainable event management systems. Hence, we have invited back the two consultants whom some of you may have already met in Amsterdam. They are Mr. Clemens Arno from To Be Different and Ms. Beatrice Eastham from Green Evenement. They will each be spending about 30 minutes providing an insight on what the pursuit of the ISO with their respective consultancy will entail. This will include the Q&A session with each of them as well. So each has a different approach to helping you achieve your sustainability milestone, be it achieving the certification or embedding a culture of sustainability into your corporate DNA. And when you embark on this journey with either consultant, you will not be alone in this journey because this will be a group pursuit alongside other IFES members. Right? So moving on, these are some of the benefits from sustainability reporting. I think we are all quite familiar by now on these benefits that have been communicated across all media. Okay, so with this, I will hand over to Uta, who will touch on the EU sustainability reporting.
So, thank you, Sarah. Do you still see my shared screen? Because no. Okay. So I will do it again. Sorry for that. I had to give.
Yes, in this moment I see.
You see. Okay. So. So you see now a chart saying who must publish sustainability reports?
No,
okay.
We see the first page.
Okay, yeah. Good. So let's start again then. And sorry for the hiccup. See it? Do you see it now?
No.
No.
Nope.
That's kind of interesting. Yeah, I don't want to minimize anything. So let's try it once again. Do you see it now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry for the hiccup. Who must publish a sustainability report? Most likely you all have seen that there are in the national legislatives in the EU countries changes.
Sorry, we see it in the presentator mode. Is it?
You have to swap the display. I think it's
okay.
The top menu, there you got Anzeigeneinstellungen. I think there you can swap the display.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. That's
now?
It. Yeah.
Yes.
Got it.
Sorry. Once again, looking at the sustainability reporting requests from the EU, we see that there is a change in this year's legislative. So by the end of the year, each and every country in Europe has to put it into their legislation that larger companies by the end of 2023 and small and medium-sized listed companies are obliged to have their sustainability reporting in place by the end of 2026. So far, it won't hit our industry, but what we see is that banks, which are currently giving loans to companies, are adapting these EU requirements to their requirements. So whenever you go out to a bank asking for any kind of a loan, you have to be aware of the situation that they might ask you to do the sustainability reporting as the EU has put it into place in their directive. And since the sustainability report is something which is very near to the ISO certification procedure, it is really wise to do the certification rather earlier than later, due to the fact that when you are in the situation, and well, we are all talking about crisis and upcoming crisis, and is there something happening in Europe or not? If you are in the situation you're going out for a loan, and then you have to start with all these requests and answering the reporting requirements, then you are in a position where it might be really a problem to do it in a short notice. So what we really suggest and advise is start with it early and as early as possible. So you are one of the first movers. You have a big marketing benefit out of it. And in case you need it, due to certain requests, you are settled. And when you are looking at the size, which when the EU is talking about small and medium-sized companies, so a small company is somebody who has either 11 employees or has a turnover over 700,000 K, which is not even 1 million. So this is really something which is touching our industry. And therefore, we give currently the advice to start with the procedure. And this is why we pushed so strongly to get this project into place. And we are offering these two advising companies, helping us with their big knowledge they already had. For those of you who haven't looked into the ISO 2012-1, which was established for the Olympic Games in 2012, we do have the brief presentation on our website, therefore the link. But when you look at it, it is a lot about a management system. It is not saying you have to do this or you have to do that. It is really a management system which helps you to plan, do, check, and then act on certain issues. And therefore, I just wanted to give you this brief introduction at this stage further details are on our website. And whenever you have a question, feel free to come to us or go out to our partners. So this is the point where I want to hand over to Beatrice to do the first presentation and give you some insights on their way. So the Green Evenement way to proceed with a certification on ISO 2012-1. Hand over to you, Beatrice.
Thank you, Uta. I get the ball. So I don't have my camera working today. Hello, everybody. It says it will start working pretty soon. It's doing something. So if I appear, please let me know. I understand in what you just said, Uta, that we have different levels of knowledge of ISO behind the screen. Today, because I plan to speak around 15-20 minutes and maybe keep 10 minutes for questions and answers. I will not go into details about the ISO 2012-1 and consider that people here have an idea what it is about, and I will be more focused on the way we help companies reach the certification, if that's okay with all of you, but we have time for question and answers. So if you have any question about how that works technically, I will be extremely happy to try to answer these questions. So I will share my screen. Obviously, hopefully this will work. Can you see?
Yes.
Okay. I'm afraid that if I do that, I won't be able to see you anymore, but that's probably okay. Oh, I can still see 4 or 5 of you. Okay, so as I can only see 4 or 5 of you, maybe if some of you, of course, want to speak to during my talking, please, I think you can raise hands like virtually, and you might come up on my screen. So I don't know if somebody wants to try that. Otherwise, we'll just speak up. Let's do it the old-fashioned way. So, just a few words.
So, Beatrice, I don't think we can't see you, so I don't know if it's just me that can't see you. Don't know. Anyway, carry on.
Can you...
Beatrice, camera is not working, but you should see her presentation. I do see it.
Thank you.
You see the presentation? Yeah?
Okay.
Yeah? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm really sorry for my camera. It says that it's working, something is loading. I don't know. That's why I went out and went back in. But what's more important, it's my presentation. So if all of you can see it, it's great. So a few words about Green Evenement for the ones of you who don't know us. So we have been existing for 13 years. Our company is dedicated to the event industry. So we only work around events and sustainability. For the last 13 years, we've been helping companies from the industry. You will see we work with organizers, destination, venues, and of course suppliers around sustainability, which means environmental and social impacts of our activities. So we are a team of 15 people. One of our main skill and experience is working around ISO 2012-1, and I will explain, of course, more. And we've been very successful with this. I will not go today on other things we do, but we are a training company, so we do a lot of trainings. We also edit a software that is called Climate that calculates carbon emissions for events, of course. Everything we do is about events. And now we have a program for stand designers and manufacturers. And I think, Uta, you will say a few words about that or your interest in the matter later, but it is not the focus of my presentation. And we also own a label that defines what is a sustainable event. It's called LEAD, L-E-A-D. About ISO 20121, so we have trained and worked with the vast majority of companies in France who reached certification. We don't only work in France, but it was to give you an idea that we are very committed with this standard. We were part of the ISO group that worked on creating the ISO 20121 between 2010 and 2012. And we have worked with more than 80 organizations that already reached the certification. And right now we always have around 50 companies that we are helping at the moment, specifically on the ISO 20121 standard. Try it and test it. Just a few words about Climate, who is our calculator for carbon footprints. So online, we have a version for event organizations. And now we have a working group on stand and space creators. I can tell more later if it's in the conversation, but I will focus on ISO 20121. As I said, we do work with big, large events like Festival de Cannes. We work with European Parliament. We have been working, of course, in France, but outside of France, in the US, in Chile, in Spain, in the Netherlands. Right now, we're working on an event in Riyadh, in Saudi Arabia. We do work in English and Spanish for those of you who do not speak French. So, let's focus about the subject today. So the way we help companies in the event industry reach ISO 20121 certification, we have two ways. One of them is working individually with one company or another. And we invented a method, it was actually 8 years ago, to work together as groups of companies to reach together on a journey ISO 20121. We invented that to help. At the beginning, it was a group of small companies that were all actually stand designers. And they thought they were afraid, or they didn't know they wanted to go individually, but they thought it made sense to go together. So we created this program where we had between 8 and 10 companies, and we coach them to reach the certification. So since 2014, we've done that with stand designers, with caterers, with venues, with event organizers, agencies, and again, a number of times with stand designers and manufacturers. I will not go into details about ISO 20121. Just important to know that anybody who contributes in the organization of an event can claim ISO 20121. So it could be organizer or it could be you suppliers. The key benefits, I think, have been brought up by Sarah and Uta. And as we have worked now for 10 years around this with different companies, and we see the difference in terms of impacts of companies that are certified and companies that are not. Because even if it's only a management system, ISO doesn't require you to reach a specific level in terms of sustainability. It is still a very efficient way to make sustainability real. It helps you make sustainability a real project with pilots, with objectives that are your own, but they are still objectives, there are still numbers, there are still goals. And so it's a very, very efficient way to become much better in sustainability. Now, let's focus on the group training program. So as mentioned, this has been now tried a number of times, and there are 4 important moments, but the number 2 and number 3 are really the main parts. Basically, first, we organize what will be following, because as there will be 8 to 10 companies, we need to agree on dates. We need to agree on if it's full day or half day trainings. We need to agree, depending if you all do the same job, or if we have different types of companies, the content might change a little. So that's the first part. Then that's when we enter into you becoming ISO 201 compliant. First moment in the time frame. Number 2, 6 days of group training. Basically, how it works, it lasts about 6 months, and once every month we meet all together. It could be in person, it could be, of course, in a distance, on the computer, in Visio. And so once every month for 6 months, we meet and we train you so that you can implement ISO 201 in your company. In between each session, you have homework that you need to do. And we also deliver individual coaching session for each of you. It's about 1 to 2 hours every month to answer any questions you might have about implementing what you have learned during the group training. After the 6 months, second important period, we come to your company to check that what you have put in place works and is compliant to ISO 201. We do a report, and based on that, the head of a company makes decision to adjust what has been done and what will be done next year. Once this is done, you are ready to call a certification body that is a different company than Green Evenement. It's companies that are that have special agreements to deliver the certification. So for international companies, like in France, we have AFNOR, but internationally it could be like SGS or Bureau Veritas, or and you have like certification body in each country that are different, but they need to be certification bodies that are recognized by the ISO organization. So these are the 4 moments to take you from where you are, that can be beginners or already advanced in terms of sustainability, to ISO 201 compliance. Here is a more detailed view. Of course, for those of you who are interested, we can even zoom on each day of the program. But these are the program or the theme of each of the 6 days that are part of a group training. So once again, every month we meet for a full day or 12 half days, depending on how you want to organize. We have done both, and both work perfectly. You get the training, then in the middle, you go back to your company. We provide you with documentation on top of the training so that you are ready to put your hands on working. We go back to a session together. And in the meantime, if you wish, you have 1 or 2 hours of individual coaching so that we can answer any question you might have. 6 months, 6 days. The price of this part of a training is 5,500 euros by person. And you can add another person from your company for half this price. It's pretty rare that companies send 2 people. Usually it's 1 person, but we give that option in case that's easier for you. Second part of this program, I mean third part, but really second part for you in terms of work. We come to your company. When I say we, it means it's possible. Green Evenement can come to your company, but you also have the choice if you have a preferred partner locally, and who is trained, of course, in ISO 201. That would be much better. So we come, or somebody else comes in your company to make sure that what you have put in place is compliant with the ISO 201 certification. That is called internal audit. That is compulsory if you want to get your certification. And it's very, of course, useful because we check with you that everything what was put in place actually works. this part, when we come to your company, is built between 5,500 and 7,500, depending on the size of the company, plus or minus 30 people, I think. It's how we get it. I go back to, so I will tell you the same thing, just with a different view, so that hopefully it's very clear for all of you. So on the right, this diagram, as Uta actually showed earlier, describes what is ISO 20121 in the standard, in the paper that describes ISO 20121. So this is all the requirements to become ISO 20121 certified. Basically, what we do in the group trainings, we cover everything that is in plan and do. So we help you. So the program is not exactly 4.2, 4.3. We made a program that is very efficient for you to be able to implement it in your company. But we cover all of this area in the group training. And then when we come to your company, in the individual training, we do the check and act part. That's why when you're finished with the program, you're ready to call the certification body, and they will deliver the ISO 20121 certification. As I said, we've done that now tens and tens of times, and so we know exactly what needs to be done so that when you call the certification body, you are actually ready. What the experience we have is very helpful too. So especially in part 3, when we come to your company, we know what is the good level to make ISO 20121 efficient and not a burden for you. It is an ISO standard, but it is made for the event industry. So if you put it properly in place, that you are 5 people in your company, we have a lot of clients that are very small company, or that you have several hundred people in your company, it should be efficient and linked with the way you work so that it does not become a burden over the month or over the years. And so that's where our experience comes in and is very useful. So especially when we come inside your company to make a few adjustments before the certification. So another view at a glance. So that it's all clear to you. Basically, what it leads to, it means that from the moment you start until the moment you get your certification, you should be expecting 9 months to a year, 6 months, first part. Sometimes 2 months in between day 2 and 3. So it could be 7 months, but it depends on the group. So 6 to 7 months for the first part. And then the second part, when we come to your company, well, depends on your availability and et cetera, and we ask for 1 or 2 months in between the last training day and when we come, so that you have time to implement everything properly. Once we have done this work with you, you are ready to call the certification body. So just so that it's all clear, so first framework preparation, then understanding and implementing ISO 20121, individualized approaches during the group training, as you will have individual coaching session, and individualized approaches after for phase 3, when we come to your company to make sure that everything is in place and we accomplish the internal audit, the internal auditing and management review. And the total price, I'm sure you can do the math of what I showed earlier, but brings us to that, depending on your company size. And as mentioned earlier, for the phase 3, the second part, you can also work with local partners. We can even, for example, if you have a local partner that is good in ISO 9000, or ISO 14001, for example, we can even train them so that they can help you with 20121, because these standards are pretty close So we would be very happy to share the knowledge around the world and help the subject grow. So that's also something that can be done. That is just, it was fun to show this picture where everybody was in person, but yeah, obviously that does not happen that much anymore. It's mostly in visio right now, but it was just an example of, you might know UNIMEV. UNIMEV is a federation in France with which we have done this kind of training. Something important for you to know is that we only provide group training with professional association. We do not take individual companies that would come out of federation with who we have an agreement. So the program we will launch with IFES will only be open to IFES members. And it's exactly what we had done with UNIMEV in France. So that's it for my part, and I'm ready to answer any questions you might have for the next 10 minutes, if I'm correct. And I'm still totally not in the video.
Hi, can I ask a question? Can you hear me? Or?
Yes, I hear you very well.
Yeah, hi. Sorry, I was asking questions on the message. My name is Yahya Muklati. I'm from Dubai World Trade Center. We're in the middle of JITEX, so I've been 10 days on the ground. So that's why I was messaging you guys to get more answers faster than they just go through the whole thing. So quick one, we were interested to apply for that. As a trade center, you know, we are semi-government. So can we do that?
We have been working with a lot of venues. So you can do that as a venue, as a trade center, yes. Then about the government, I'm not sure what you mean, if you can.
The company is registered as a company. The owner is the government.
Oh, okay, I see what you mean. Okay, so yeah, very good question about the perimeter and how ISO works. Basically, ISO, what will be certified is what we define will be certified, and it doesn't have to be a specific kind of company, or it doesn't even have to be a company. For example, if you're a company having different activities, you can decide that your event organizing or your booth making activity is certified. What the certification body will check is that the perimeter makes sense, and that basically what you have to keep in mind is like if a team is certified, who owns the team, if it has, you know, a legal entity, that's not the issue of ISO. So you can totally be certified. And in France, a lot of venues that we work with are actually owned by cities or the government, or and it's no problem at all.
And the license goes to the company or individuals?
It goes to the company, to the perimeter. Basically, the license goes on the license will be written the perimeter of what is certified. So if you say that your trade center is certified, the license, it will be written ISO 20121 has been given to the trade center, blah, blah, blah. And it doesn't really care who pays the bill, basically, if it's your question.
Okay, because for example, DXP Live is under the trade center, and we are the stand build, stand design subsidiary under the trade center. We have 350 employees, and we're all into stand build, stand design, brand experience. So, so this can go all under one license, right? We don't have to get different licenses.
The thing is, it depends. It really depends what would you like to implement ISO 20121 on the stand designer part, or do you want to implement ISO 20121 on the whole company and different activities? And okay, depending on your decision, that will be what will be written on the certificate. But you really have to make that decision before you start. And sure. But if you want to make it on the whole perimeter, it might, I mean, we would have to look into details to understand if you have, for example, if purchase and support activities are made by, the same department, or if it's all different, people. So that requires a little bit of understanding on how you are organized, because ISO 2012-1 is a management system. So it means that it applies basically to a team and an organization.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Very clear. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further questions from the audience?
Hello.
Yes.
Beatrice, I have basically two questions.
Yes.
One is the first phase. I guess it's 6 full days with a lot of listening. And I believe in between the days, there will be some homework from the companies.
Yes.
So yes, is the answer. How much time do you think a company needs to do the homework? And what does it cover, this homework? And do we need some specialized people in-house to do the homework, or how does that relate?
Okay, yes, very good and very hard question. So I will give you an idea of what we've seen, maybe average, even if average doesn't mean much, because if you're a company of 5 people or a company of 400 people, it's not exactly the same kind of work. But so in bigger company, usually they have people dedicated to sustainability. But I would say in the vast majority of people we work with, they don't have somebody. So in this case, it's somebody that takes this as part of their job. It could basically, what we say, it can be anybody except somebody from the direction, from managing team, and somebody from the sales team, because we've seen over the years that they don't do their homeworks. I'm sorry, guys, if you're part of this group of people. And apart from that, it can really be like basically somebody with an interest in sustainability and that is ready to go, that is quick to understand like the organization, like business side and how it works. So yeah, if you want to send us like profiles, and we can give you an opinion, but we've seen really different profiles and the amount it takes. So for companies, I would say under 30 to 50 people, about 1/5 of the time of one person during the implementing process. It's not, of course, 100% linear. It depends on period, but it's nice to keep that in mind as an average. And once the system is in place, then it really depends on what you decided to aim as far as, goals, because it could be a full-time job, if you decide to be very, very, like if you decide to reach very high goals, and it could be, a 1/10 of a job if it's just maintaining the system.
Okay.
But 1/5 of a person for the phase 2 is probably, good estimate.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions, or shall we hand over to Clemens and Paolo? So I guess, Clemens, Paolo, the stage is yours.
So I probably need to get out of the stage first, right?
Yeah, thank you, Beatrice.
And just a question, Uta, because we had mentioned having the first date for the program in November. So maybe you will talk about that later.
I do have a chart or a slide for this. Yes.
Okay.
I think, well, those who want to start together with Beatrice and their approach, and we will talk about the different approaches of those both consultants later on. But you will start, if I'm not mistaken, on the 23rd of November, and Clemens will be a little later, beginning of December, the first week of December.
Okay. Thank you.
So, thank you very much for the friendly introduction and the opportunity to present our services for the event and trade fair industry. Yeah, my name is Clemens Arnold. I'm one of the 2 managing directors of To Be Different. Also with me is my colleague and senior consultant, Daniele Murcia. Our company, To Be Different, stands for more than 10 years for sustainability in the event industry. And what we do is, on the one hand, we consult business operations of event service providers, for example, agencies, trade fair construction, or catering companies, location operators, etc. And we provide them with the needed knowledge to work as a sustainable company in the event industry. From our point of view, it is necessary for the clients that the business operations of the event suppliers have sustainability implemented in the DNA of the company. And on the other hand, we advise marketing and event departments of companies on hosting sustainable events, for example, corporate events, trade fairs, incentives, congresses. According to our current experience, there is a great demand for sustainability in the marketing and event departments. The third core competence of To Be Different is sustainability reporting. We are training partner of the German Sustainability Code and support Global Reporting Initiative Standard GRI as well. Last but not least, in the first 3 areas, education is very important to get an understanding of the requirements of sustainability. We train people with in-house and open seminars. We do all the services, on the one hand, for international companies like Porsche, BMW, Vodafone, Allianz, and on the other hand, for event service providers, such as agencies, exhibition stand construction companies, or catering companies, or location operators, etc. It is important for us to know both sides in the consulting process in order to be able to respond better to respective situations. That's our team. The majority of our team is trained on ISO 20121 in order to optimize the consulting process. My colleague, Jürgen May, is auditor of the ISO 20121, and each team member has additional individual focus areas. For example, Paolo Daniele is responsible for the festival part, and our Christian Lehnert is a specialist for catering, etc. So from our point of view, every company needs a license to operate for the future. And with our approach, we build up the sustainability strategy in your company, which is credible, authentic, transparent, and continuous. And that is exactly what our consulting concept offers at this stage. That's our core business, and now I will show you what does our process look like. That's the process, the way to the ISO 20121 certification for IFES members. And our process supports the development of a long-term sustainability strategy in your company. Each client starts with process phase 1 as a basis for determination of the status quo. Additional includes process phase 1, the CO2 balancing of the business operations on a yearly basis. And the modules highlighted in green, convoy, mean that several companies can implement the module together as part of a workshop. The orange-colored modules are implemented individually related to the company. At the end of process phase 1, the client decides in connection with recommendations what are the next steps and where are the gaps. And then starts the phase 2 with the implementation for measures. The scope of the measures depends on the results of phase 1. The measures can be implemented, may differ between the participating companies. After successful completion of the necessary measures, the certification process for ISO 20121 can be started in phase 3. This is carried out by an external certification company in the next step. Now we would like to briefly introduce the individual modules of the process phases. For this purpose, I will pass the microphone to my colleague, Daniele Murcia.
You are unmuted.
Can you?
Okay, an official hello to everybody in the group. Thanks, Uta. Yeah, and thanks, Clemens, for the introduction and the presentation of the process. So you can see my screen, yeah? It's okay? Perfect. So I would now like to go into the individual steps of the process. So in the first step, we come together for a workshop, especially in the phase of the pandemic. The format has been very good to conduct as an online format. Accordingly, we can offer both a live workshop in presence and an online workshop. So in the kickoff workshop, we will give you a common understanding of sustainability in general and look at it from a business perspective. Then we will put sustainability into the trade fair context with appropriate examples from our work. Among others, content will include CSR reporting requirements, SDGs, ESG, practical exercises to create concrete measures, value chain, supply chain management, or CO2 accounting, hybrid events, and of course, last but not least, the ISO 20021. Yeah, these are more the contents of the workshop, which we will go through together step by step. By the end of the day, you will have all a common understanding of sustainability in event management, and you will understand the process that is necessary in the course of a planned ISO certification. Yeah, the next step in the process phase is the individual basic check corporate. This is an online-based questionnaire, and in the beginning of the whole process, it is essential to make a kind of position fixing, so-called status quo. Where does your company currently stand in terms of sustainability? Therefore, we take a very critical look at all areas of the company, not just management or HR or marketing. No, the entire value chain is viewed from different angles. The questions run through all three pillars of sustainability. So in addition to ecological aspects, social and economic aspects are also considered. This involves the consideration of activities and measures which the company already consciously or unconsciously implements with regard to sustainability aspects. With this check, we can see exactly where the gaps are, what are the strengths and the weaknesses, and what is the sustainable operational quality. The questionnaire reveals key figures that cover the range of topics relating to sustainable office and service quality, like energy and CO2 efficiency, waste, mobility, communication, inclusion, supply chain, and so on. Only once we have gained an overview, we can move on to the further development of a comprehensive sustainable strategy. At the end of the evaluation, we see where we need to start exactly through the three pillars of social, ecological, and economic issues. In addition to the basic check corporate I showed you now, a CO2 balance of the business operations of your company will be drawn up in order to record all CO2 hotspots and identify optimization potential. Your corporate carbon footprint is based on the greenhouse gas protocol corporate accounting and the reporting standards. So the corporate carbon footprint reflects the CO2 emissions that arise from corporate activities at your company, at your site, like the consumption of the vehicle fleet, for example, or what consumption takes place in the office, water consumption, printed matter, paper consumptions, all play a role. Business trips and overnight stays are included as well as logistics. The presentations give us a good indication of where the emission hotspots are located. So the data collection as well is based on an online questionnaire oriented on the scope principles 1, 2, 3. In addition, the employee mobility survey carried out as a part of the CO2 balance is supported by an anonymous online survey. Important to tell is that the CO2 balance is based on the data of the previous business year. So when we start this year, then we have a look on the previous business year. Yeah, from this we can see exactly how high consumption levels are raised in the course of business operations, and this clearly shows us where there is potential for reducing CO2 emissions in the company. Yeah, and many of you are certainly familiar with the Net Zero Carbon Events Initiative. So with our process and the meaningful CO2 accounting, we pay exactly into the goals of the pledge. And with our process, we show measures that let you as a company become part of the solution. Nearly by the end of the phase, the feedback report is compiled. So the overall result will be presented to the management in form of a feedback report. This is where the results of the questionnaire and the CO2 balance come together. So we have the status quo and the actual consumption at all. In summary, we receive general recommendations for actions leading to measures. The firm recommendations for actions and concrete measures are the main part of process phase 2, which I'll show you in a while. So the management is thus provided with practice-oriented optimization potentials as a basis for decision-making and for the continued development of the following issues are shown next page. So we're in process phase 2. So we'll talk about the corporate vision and principles, code of conduct, standards in sustainable procurement, communication strategy, environmental health and social policy, sustainability report, and others on this way. So recommendations for strategic decisions and concrete implementation measures are proposed with that. The sustainability roadmap then supports the management in introducing a sustainability strategy and how it should be defined in framework for action. In this phase, we also work out what relevance the corresponding measures have for your stakeholders and in which priority they have to be implemented. Sustainability is a process, you know, and it's important to go through all necessary measures step by step, so that in the end, a fully comprehensive sustainability strategy emerges out from it. Yeah, so in the beginning, you already had some information about ISO 20012-1 in general. Then let's have a brief look at our process according to ISO 20012-1. Together with our external partner, we start with the pre-audit. The aim of a pre-audit is to check selected management system elements on site and to get to know each other before the certification audit. The client then receives a report with the results of the pre-audit. Stage 1, planning. Stage 1 audit, the conformity of the implementation of the requirements of ISO 20012-1 is checked and confirmed. So it's including establishment of the project documentation, formation of a workable team, application of management tools, internal, external communication, and so on. Yeah, for this purpose, interviews conducted with the management and project leaders, and the documentation and evidence are examined. So following the review, the tabular report is produced. So in stage 2, so it's the second stage of the audit, is primarily about providing evidence of how the requirements of ISO 20012-1 are implemented in practice, concepts, planning and implementation of exhibition stands, and evaluation of the results, so on. Yeah. Next step is the certification decision. That means an examination of the audit documents by the certification body. That's an independent expert review, and the certification decision will be made by a certification committee. Yeah, so last but not least, what about the certification circle? Certificates are issued for 3 years with an annual review of conformity with the requirements for sustainable event management in planning and implementation. So if conformity is not confirmed, certificates can also be withdrawn. Yeah, it's part of the game. So yeah, we implement this process phase 3, which I just explained to you, together with a strong strategic international partner. With 14 offices in the world, the AFNO Group designs and deploys solutions based on voluntary standards around the world. In our process, we combine core competencies from the various event sectors, practical experience from over 10 years of sustainability consulting, and a completely sustainable mindset. So, that's so far from me. Then I'll hand you over to my colleague, Clemens, who will provide you with another information. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Daniele, for the details. I give you a brief overview of the timeline and the duration of the process. In general, phase 1 usually takes 1 to 2 months, depending on the provision of customer data. The phase 2 is normally between 3 to 6 months, depending on the scope and the decision what measures are necessary. And with the final certification process, we assume a total duration of 9 months in general. Please note, in certain process phases, the customer's assistance is required, and we have only limited influence on this. Now that we have presented the content and the processes, let's have a look to the price model. It's very clear and easy. It's cost model process phase 1 is the evaluation phase, is per company with 1 workshop employee. We start with this phase. This is a commissioned on a fixed basis. That means 9,700 euros includes the mentioned parts of the kickoff workshop, the basic check corporate, the CO2 balancing on a yearly basis, and the feedback report. All prices are pre-tax, and all meetings can be done virtually, as mentioned before. And the second phase, the implementation and deepening phase, is dependent on the status quo of the evaluation of the process phase 1. There is a price range in the process phase 2 between, for example, 1 workshop if it's necessary, or the full set of measures. If all requirements, such as a mission statement, environmental policy, purchasing management, are already in place, the necessary financial and personal effort is then lower at this stage. And
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, if you have a question?
No, I don't have a question. I just wanted to add that pre-tax in this case means no tax. Since consulting is something running under the reverse charge procedure, European companies don't have to pay taxes for this kind of consulting, or you can rephrase for it when you're doing your VAT declaration. So it is, we can talk about net prices.
Okay. Thank you for the additional information. And the first phase 3, the certification phase, the prices on an individual basis by the external certification company. It depends on the company size and the number of booth constructions. And we offer as an option a pre-audit check by to be different, but it's only an option at this stage. And as mentioned from Uta before, our kickoff for the first movers is in the week 49. It's 5 to 9 December in 2022. And last but not least, a short hint for our next sustainability level. We started in spring 2022 with our consulting services for the circular economy and the event industry. And the goal is to have perfect cycles completely without waste for our industry. If you're interested in this, please feel free to contact us. Thank you very much at this stage for your attention. And let's talk about your questions and further on.
Any further questions from the audience?
Hi there, this is Jason calling in from Chicago from Moss. I've just got a question really for Clemens or for Beatrice. Now that this certification is 10 years old, and I know you may not know this directly, is there any expectation that ISO will be updating the certification at some point? And will there be a new one that would come as a replacement for this certification?
It's a tricky question. Beatrice, please.
Yeah. Sure. So actually, so ISO 20121 is it's a very good and very very good question, because it's the news. It's fresh, hot news. So every 5 years, when an ISO certification is out, there is a review, or there can be a review. So it was out in 2012. So in 2017, ISO asked the different country, and everybody said, no, we don't need a review yet. So now we're in 2022. So the question rises again. And it seems that, to make it short, because there had been a lot of discussion, but there will be some changes in ISO, or at least there will be a new committee and newer committees in different countries to talk about the evolution of ISO 20121. So we don't know yet under what scope, but there is a discussion in France next Friday at lunch. So I will know more after that. Basically, how it works in any case, the discussions happen, then it will be probably a couple of years. France is actually putting pressure so that the discussions end before Paris Olympics in 2024. But we don't know yet if everybody will agree with this time frame. And if some modifications apply, it doesn't apply to the people that are in the process of certification or who have been certified under the old version. So anyway, you will have a lot of time to see that coming. We will be part in the works leading to that. So we will also, inform the companies that we work with of the potential evolution. From what I know, it shouldn't be a total change. It will be, the discussions are, should we add some level in the system, in the management system? I'm not sure it's possible, so I don't think this will happen. So should we emphasize more on, how is it in English? Heritage. Anyway, on what we leave to the destination, to the next generation, and things like that. But there shouldn't be a huge change. But this is very good questions, and hopefully next week we will know more.
Well, maybe I add something from our ISO experience. There's currently running an ISO review on the definitions in our industry. And of course, this is touching sustainability issues as well. And what the whole team has agreed on is that we refer on ISO 20121 as it's currently in place. So within inside ISO, they are not really tremendously keen of changing things at the same time, which is touching the same topic. So what I expect is that ISO 20121 might go under a review in 5 years' time when the other thing is settled. And the next thing is coming from the Net Zero Carbon Footprint Initiative. Of course, this is all linked to ISO 20121 as well. And there were discussions happening and which are leading in the same direction, that if there is not like an agreement on 5 countries saying we have to change this because this doesn't work, which are the ISO integrated bodies like the DIN in Germany, or I don't know how the French or Belgium authorities are directly called, but if not countries coming along and say, hey, we have to change it because it doesn't work, then it's most likely that we keep it as it is for the upcoming 5 years, which gives us some security in proceeding.
And for those of you, because I see, well, you're in Chicago, for those of you in the US, I will be in New York and Boston for 2 weeks, the first week of November. So if you have some offices there or people that want to move, I would gladly be happy to use my carbon travel for interesting discussions about sustainability.
Thanks for the offer, Beatrice. Any further questions from the audience side? Well, I don't see it currently. So what I would suggest is, if you do have questions, we are happy to link you directly to both consultants, to Clemens as well as to Beatrice and their teams. And we are really happy to answer questions as well. As you have heard, I'm just now sharing my screen again. Hopefully it works as it should. And that we don't have the hiccup we had with the last one. So you should see my screen now.
Yes.
In the presentation mode.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now you can swap the display again.
Okay. So here we are.
No, it's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for the advice. A new function for me. But still, we have, although it's looking like the phases is shorter by to be different, we are in general approaching the same amount of time for both. Of course, it is always a discussion about or within the groups. If some need, I don't know, a month off in January due to a huge workload, then I think when the whole group wants this change of the scheduled plan, then we are happy to do it. And the advisors are happy to do it. In general, both consultants we are now doing this presentation with, we have worked quite along with. They are valuable companies who know our industry, who had the chance to lead several companies to ISO certification, and all those companies got certified. So they know what they do, and we have tried really to find the best offer we can give to you. The program Green Evenement is a little bit more focused on getting into the ISO certification, and the program To Be Different is getting more into the DNA of a company. So therefore there are more individual possibilities, so that you create your own sustainable DNA, which is not one size fits all. This has to become customized, and therefore there might be several other sessions you have to have with them, which cost. So this is the difference in between the financial model. They are looking at other consultants we have checked with in a really fair amount of money they are asking for. There are other consultants where you can easily spend 2 or 3 times as much. And well, to be a little bit pushy, to really start in November, we are now having the 10th of October. You have to decide within like 1 month and let us know by the 11th of November, which is a Friday. If you come along on Monday, we won't care, but we really have to make sure that we get everything prepared accordingly, that we set up the meetings in a professional manner with those both consultants, that you have gotten your contract signed, which will be directly with the consultant. IFES is just giving the platform and trying to pre-consult things, but at the end you are running a contract with the consultant, not IFES integrated into it. This has some tax reasons for IFES on the one hand side, and on the other hand side, IFES is really just trying to give you the best start, and then it is up to you. We cannot, or we are not able to hold each member's hand to get into this certification process. What we have, or what we are currently doing, is we are working together with Beatrice. She just announced Climate. There are other companies offering carbon footprint calculator. We are trying to find one or two which are easy to use, to quote Eric, smart, sexy, and simple. The sexy part is currently the one which gives us some trouble. But we are really trying to find 1-2 carbon footprint calculators which are easy to use and which make it easy for you to offer this additional service to your customers. And IFES is now doing all these checking and trying to find the best solution. So we will come along with this. And the Net Zero Carbon Footprint Initiative, Danielle, not Pablo, Danielle has mentioned this is something where we are currently very engaged. We are working on the roadmap for this lowering the carbon footprint emission till 2030 to 50% of 2019. Actually, our goal is to be faster than that. And I'm still hopeful that we're gonna be able to be first movers at this point as well. And yeah, we are integrated into their consulting and into the consulting with all the big shore organizers. So we keep you in the loop, but IFES is really heads up there and trying to get the best for our industry and make it as efficient as possible for you to be part of this. So these are two things I wanted to mention. And well, we will do a follow-up with a summary. I hope that your Clemens and Beatrice and Olga and Danielle, you agree on that we are happy to share your presentations as well. We have a summary of both presentations already ready. We will send it out to you. And whenever you have a question, well, follow up with me, follow up with Dominic, and of course with the two advisors. And so this is something I just wanted to share with you. And if there are further questions from your side, happy to answer, or I'm sure the rest will be able to answer as well.
Thank you, Jutta. And for us, yes, of course, you can share the presentation.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep, for us the same. Thank you.
So 2 thumbs up, which is great.
Okay, great. I hope you all have a better understanding on the process for the pursuit of ISO 20121. Now, as Uta has mentioned, please feel free to clarify all your doubts with the consultants before you come on board, deadline being 11th of November. And we hope that by our next World Summit in 2023 in Singapore, well, we will see the first 20 of our member organizations on track to almost attaining their sustainability certification through these 2 pilot groups pursuit. All right. So our sustainability team will continue to bring you more knowledge sharing, whether it's the CO2 calculator or further updates on the net zero carbon events initiative, right? So thank you so much for spending your time with us today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. Well done.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Uta.
Yeah.
Thanks, Adrian. Thanks,
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good time.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
And whenever you have a question, come up to us.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Uta. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Right. Have a good day.